not a walkthrough, playthrough, review, anything like that. It's just me playing the game badly so you can see what it looks like. Okay then, this is Star Wars Jedi Arena on the Atari 2600. Two-player using paddle controllers. We've got Joe as the blue player. I have played this many years ago. Joe has never played it before. We'll see how it goes. And I haven't explained how it works.
I'll just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yes. Right, now, you know the scene, they're on the Millennium Falcon.
Right, yeah.
And he's got the ball thing that, yeah, does that. And you've got the shield in front of you that you've got to zap your opponent's shield. And every so often, it has a Barney.
Like that.
Yeah. You can direct the angle of the electricity bolt from the whatever the thing is, the ball thing. Barney time. Just going to turn that down a little bit. Oh, here it comes. I love the way it builds up like that.
Static electricity.
Yeah. Kind of builds up the tension before it goes nuts.
No, definitely doing better.
Yeah, I've got a hole in your shield. There you go.
I haven't even got any, I don't think. Oh, I did, I got a little bit.
Oh, we'll swap sides.
Oh, have we? Oh, right. Getting it.
If you, when you're defending and if you've got that electrical beam attached to your lightsaber, that's a good time to attack, because
You're in control of it.
yeah.
Kill me again. Yeah, I'm pretty crap at this.
A lot of it is down to chance. Or gonna get you though.
It's quite difficult to control though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Getting the angle right is the tricky bit when you're firing. Oh, on top. There it comes again. One of my favourite two-player games on the Atari. Not necessarily a great Star Wars game, but as a two-player game in its own right, I think it's pretty good.
Just going around. I'll hit something eventually.
You know, the direction you're pointing your lightsaber
Yeah,
in is
I
the
figured it. I figured that bit out.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, first to 3.
Yeah. I like it. It looks like it's got little eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like window wipers.
Yeah. It's like going through, well, back to Chesterfield the other day from Skeg, and it was chucking it down. More on the way back from Chesterfield, but yes. Okay, that that is Star Wars Jedi Arena on the Atari 2600, 2-player. Thank you for watching. Hello, it's hot in here. Fans going, so if it sounds like I'm sitting inside a jet engine, that's why. Today's question for Q&A is from James Newman. Link to his channel down there. He asks, for Q&A, what are your thoughts on Sega's downfall? Do you think they are ever going to build a new console? Thoughts on their downfall? It's a shame, is what I think. It's a very big shame. It's like these days you've got Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. They're your big 3. It used to be Sega and Nintendo, and you know, Microsoft and Sony weren't in there. It was all Sega and Nintendo. Commodore sort of further back, and Atari in there as well, you know, but they weren't really in the running all that much. And I was a Sega fan, you know, given the choice, Sega or Nintendo, I went for Sega. I had both for the most part, but I preferred Sega, and then when they went to the wall, I went to Sony. But anyway, I mean, it was predictable. I think Nintendo learned a lesson by what happened to Sega, because Sega's thing was they didn't support their own hardware. When it failed, if it didn't sell enough, they dropped it like a stone and basically screwed their own user base. The people who had spent their hard-earned cash on their 32X, Mega CD, Sega Saturn, by the time the Dreamcast came out, people had realised, I ain't buying that, because if it doesn't do really, really well, they're just going to drop it and I'll have a piece of hardware with no support. So obviously that didn't sell either, which is a shame, because the Dreamcast was a good piece of hardware. But they had been stupid. Nintendo didn't make the same mistake. I mean, the Nintendo 64 didn't do especially well, the GameCube didn't do especially well, but they kept supporting them. And they're still here now, and doing really rather well. Mind you, I mean, Nintendo didn't exactly continue to support the Virtual Boy, but you got to draw the line somewhere, haven't you? I love the Virtual Boy, but I understand them dropping it. It was not doing well, and it was not a complete piece of hardware that had any business on the market. So yeah, it's very sad to see Sega's demise in the hardware market, but it was predictable. It didn't really come as a surprise. Do I think they will release a new console? Well, I mean, you've got all of your what is it? The at-games recreations of the Mega Drive and whatnot, which are abysmal, and honestly, Sega should have pulled the plug on that deal long ago. All of the at-game stuff is abysmal. So there's another Mega Drive Mini coming out. Who's making that? Not sure. It's supposed to be better. It needs to be. But that's not. I realise that's not what you're talking about when you're talking about a new console. I see three possibilities. Two of which I would like. I could see a retro system because the technology is there already. You can play Dreamcast, Saturn, probably, Mega Drive 32X, blah blah blah. You can play them on current kind of hardware. I don't know about the PS1 Mini, but certainly things like the Raspberry Pi 4, certainly single board computer hardware is capable of playing all of Sega's old systems. Sega should do a retro system that covers all of their back catalogue from the Dreamcast back all the way to the SG-1000. That's what I would like to see. All in one system with a big library of games and the ability to add, if not download your own ISOs, though personally I would favour that, but I can't see them doing it, some way of downloading them on a store and put them on it that way. You know, make it internet connectable, download these games. I mean, basically, like the Nintendo store, we'll have a Sega store. Download all of the retro games you like onto this retro games console. I would like to see that. I don't think they'll do it. I think there would be a market for it. I mean, that's a lot of systems, and it wouldn't take much for them to set up something like that. The hardware, the technology's there already. Single board computers, easily done. They go on the internet easily. They could rip their own ISOs and make them available in a shop. Piece of cake. I mean, infrastructure, sure, but they should be able to do it. Will they? Doubtful. Other options. A modern games console to compete with the current generation, next generation of consoles. I don't think so. And in fact, I don't even think it would make sense to do that. They haven't got the money to develop the hardware to compete in terms of performance. And I say that. Current consoles are really pretty much just PCs, aren't they? Small-ish PCs, small form, whatever, but powerful. And I suppose the Mega Drive was fairly off the shelf. But what's the point? Given that the Xbox whatever and the PlayStation whatever will be pretty much the same beast with some differences in performance, but you know, architecturally pretty similar. Is there a space for another one on the market? I don't think so, to be honest. What would be the point? Because are they going to produce any or many serious must-have first-party titles? What's the last fantastic title Sega made? I don't know what Sega are doing anymore. Game-wise, have they done anything relevant in a while? I haven't heard of it. Not that I'm paying all that much attention, but how relevant are they? Can they produce something? Have they got a Halo? Have they got a Gran Turismo? Is there a reason to buy a Sega console if all you're going to have is third-party support, if you have any of that? I can't see it. I mean, there was a kind of a problem with the Dreamcast in that Sega's games, Sega's first-party games, were largely based on arcade games, and they were good arcade games, But that doesn't always translate well to the home console. You want more depth. You just plain want something bigger. And they sort of tried, but it really wasn't, to my mind, you could tell if a game had its origins in the arcade or not. It was just simpler and less engaging. They were all about quick play, grab your money and run kind of thing. And while that's fun, it's not going to hold you for hours on end, which is what you want in a home console game. And what would they do now? Would they do more of that? Because that kind of gameplay for AAA, top of the line, must buy titles that sell your hardware, that just won't cut it. And I don't know if Sega can do anything else. That's not saying they aren't or can't, it means I don't know. I'm unaware of anything they're doing like that. But that's not all. Consoles are changing. Is this going to be the last generation of actual consoles where the console that is under your, on your TV, in front of your TV, on your desk, wherever you put your console, is this going to be the last generation that actually runs the software? Is the next generation going to be a dumb terminal, basically, where the game is run in the cloud, as they put it, on some server somewhere, and all it does is stream the game to you? I'm completely opposed to this, by the way. I think it's an awful, awful, awful idea. It will cut many people out of gaming altogether, myself included. I can't do that kind of gaming. The Wi-Fi here, the broadband here, is pathetic. I wouldn't be able to do that, so if that became the current gen, I would be excluded. Huge parts of the British population would be excluded. Enormous parts of America would be excluded. Many developing or less technologically advanced, that's not really right, less technologically equipped nations would be excluded. And to me, that's stupid. But it seems to be the way the gaming industry is pushing. I hope they fail. But if it is the way, then Sega would be dumb to be developing new hardware, because gaming will stop being about gaming hardware. It'll be all about bandwidth. And that becomes a lottery. But yeah, I don't think a current gen or next gen console from Sega will happen. It makes no sense. They don't have the finances, they don't have the software to back it up, and if the gaming industry goes the way the gaming industry would like, it would just be money down the drain. Maybe they'll, if it does all go cloud-based, maybe they will create that dumb terminal. I don't see the point, because the money then isn't in the hardware, it's in the software that you basically rent. Solve that. There's another option, I think, that maybe is viable, and that is in VR hardware, virtual reality. And when I say that, I mean self-contained VR, like the Oculus Go, is that what it's called? Basically a VR headset that contains everything, you know, the headset but also the hardware, the computing hardware. I actually favour, I mean, have they done it? I don't know. A VR piece of kit where actually the processing hardware isn't in the headset. It should be clipped onto your belt. Just have the display in the headset, because it's going to weigh less. As soon as you put the processing into the headset, you've got a weight issue. Have the motion sensors in the headset and the display, move everything else onto your belt. Still compact, but you can have it a bit bigger and a bit more powerful without being too heavy. But I could see there being a market for that kind of thing. were Sega ever into VR very much? Can't remember. I think they might have started working on something and then gave up. I think they did, didn't they? Yeah, way back. But they had a 3D headset for the Master System, or was it just glasses, goggles, some whatever. Yes, they had glasses with shutters, didn't they? Forgotten about that. Not VR, but 3D. Yeah, I could see there being room in the market for a thing like that, and Sega could maybe do that if they really wanted to get back into gaming hardware. Self-contained VR. VR is an up and coming. It's here. It's with us. It's not quite mainstream, but it's gonna be. Speaking of which, I just last night downloaded Elite Dangerous for my PC laptop, and I've got a Oculus Rift DK2, which I've not really had a whole lot to play on it, but I do believe that Elite Dangerous will run on the DK2, so I'm going to have a bash with that soon, and when it cools down a bit, because my glasses will fog up as soon as I try it, I know, but I'm looking forward to giving that a go. Yeah. Those are my thoughts on Sega. Retro console, online store, plays all of their classic stuff up to the Dreamcast. I think that's very doable. I would like to see them do that. Current next-gen hardware competing with Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, no chance. Not a hope in hell. If they did, they're stupid, they'll fail. My opinion. Self-contained VR. I think that there's a place in the market for that. The Oculus Go is not doing terribly, I don't think. It's not an awful piece of hardware from what I understand. That with Sega branding and say, I mean, virtual racing on a VR headset. Give me some of that, please. Yeah, that kind, and Daytona and Manx TT. God, yeah, I want some of that. There is a place for that. I would like to see them do it. Sega, I'm pretty damn sure don't watch my channel, but anyone with any connections to Sega, tell them, make a VR thing. Okay, that's about all I've got to say on that. So anyone else who's got any questions they would like answering in a video like this, leave your question in the comment section below. Begin with for Q&A, so I know not to just answer it in the comment section. And thank you for watching.
So look, just subscribe to this Benway chap and we can all go home. I'll have a glass of claret and, well, bollocks.